What is up, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello.
Welcome to Inside the Stable, our first episode of God knows how many we're going to do. I
Hopefully
am
a
your
lot.
co-host, Reed Slayton, alongside Philip. I hope that guy said your name right. Akins or Atkins?
It's
Whatever.
Akins.
Good,
It's Akins.
good,
Yeah, it's
good.
Akins. We're good.
Brilliant. All right. So, in today's show, we are going to do our very first show. We'll tell you what the show is all about. Basically, it's a look inside Birmingham Stallion football, everything around the UFL, the brand new league. It's the same old, it's the new league. It's a new owner, well, co owner with The Rock and Denny Garcia, but it's the same old Birmingham Stallions that we hope will do what they used to do in the USFL, and that's run the table all the way to St. Louis for the inaugural UFL championship. And that journey begins 17 days from now, under 17 days from now, as they take on the defending XFL champion, Arlington Renegades, live from Choctaw Stadium in Arlington, Texas. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Here's how the show works. Basically, we'll do a one-day show every week, every Wednesday night, depending on my work, because I work radio. And if we have to, we'll move the show to Thursday nights sometimes, because I might have to work on the job on Wednesday nights. But as of now, the show will be on Wednesday nights right here on YouTube. To our fans in the Birmingham Stallion fans Facebook page, welcome in. To everyone listening on YouTube, welcome in. Philip, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Philip Akins. I've been a Stallions fan ever since they came back. I was a fan of the Iron. Season ticket holder 2 years running. I just really like the Stallions. I like spring ball and just glad to have the team. I'm glad to support the team, do whatever I can. And I can't wait to, talk about the team more week to week in this sense. I think this is going to be a fun time. This podcast is going to be a fun gig.
Oh, yeah. And my name is Reed Slayton. Of course, like I said, I'm a co-host along with Philip Akins. I do radio, of course. I also have a job at an ice cream plant. But I love the Stallions ever since they came back to spring football. Well, I was about to call it the USFL, but now we're just going to call it spring football at this point. I've also followed, like you said, I've followed the Iron before. When I heard that the Iron was coming back, or not coming back, when they were coming, I'm like, all right, we finally have some pro football. We're about to prove Bear Bryant wrong. And then, of course, funding issues happened, and then the league had to fold. So I'm like, well, crap, we had no league.
They didn't have money in the first place. They lied about it for 8 weeks straight.
Yeah, well, it was pretty much dead from the start.
It was a crypto scam before crypto scams got big. Is what the Alliance of American Football was.
Oh yeah.
Not to say I don't like the Iron. I did like the Iron.
Oh yeah.
I was a fan, and I didn't give up hope. Mm-hmm. Really, when they folded, I was kind of just. That league was slapdash. It was trying to compete with Vince's XFL that was coming back. I kind of expected Birmingham to eventually get thrown into the fold for the XFL. Just seemed like a very Vince thing to do, but
yeah, true.
Yeah, sure, whatever. But now we don't have to worry about it. Fox came in with what basically only exists as when the USFL kicked off. Fox was basically like, well, XFL 2020 got good viewers. Let's do it ourselves. They throw the team in Birmingham. Rest is history. And they've easily been the most dominant spring football team the last 2 years in either league. This isn't a knock on the XFL fans. I know some of them, if they get shared in the XFL, the UFL tailgating group, I know some of those fans are going to get upset. Trust me, they got a few kooks out there. But they're just passionate. But I'm just excited to be able to talk about the team some more. It's going to be fun. And I think this season coming up is going to be really fun.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, talking about the Birmingham Iron real quick. I mean, I feel like, I know the team. They were destined for 6 wins. I get it. But, making the playoffs was probably a big goal, in my opinion. Obviously, the Orlando team was going to win it all with Steve Spurrier at the helm. But enough about the Iron. We love the Iron. RIP. I still fly their flag at tailgates. I love y'all. But this is about the scarlet and the gold and the cream of the Birmingham Stallions, your back-to-back USFL champions. Well, hopefully soon to be a 3-time champion with 1-time UFL champion. Hopefully this year. Again, the season begins in 17 days. So let's go ahead and dive into our topics. What do you want to talk about first, Philip?
I'm down to talk schedule, or I'm down to talk. You also were mentioning uniforms earlier. We could do either or. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go ahead and talk schedule before we get into uniform rankings?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and go over the schedule right quick. We'll go ahead and pull it up right quick on the old computer. If I can get to it. Here we go. The schedule. Go and put it up on the screen here. If I can find it. I'll go ahead and read off the schedule as we get started. Obviously, game 1, fittingly, high noon in Arlington, Texas at Choctaw Stadium, the old home of the Texas Rangers. In the movie, they called it the ballpark in Arlington, but is now Choctaw Stadium. The Arlington Renegades, the defending XFL champion, versus the Birmingham Stallions, your defending USFL champions. What are you excited about that game? Obviously, it's champion versus champion, but go more in depth on what you think we can expect from this game.
Well, it's champion versus champion. It is a marquee matchup. It is, they're not exactly the face of the XFL conference. They won it. They won 4 games, and then they got into the playoffs by virtue of being in a really weak division last year. But they turned around by the time they got Luis Perez as quarterback. He elevated that team, and I think we can be in for a decent ball game. I don't think that's going to be the best game on our schedule. I know that they're hyping it up. And look, Arlington is a team, and if it's like last year and it's like this year, or what I'm expecting, they're going to be another one of those middle-of-the-pack type deal teams, if I had to guess. It's not that they're not talented, but comparative to other teams, I mean, look, their O-line is not as good as our D-line, what we have coming back.
Yeah, I think... Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I fully expect us to have like 6 sacks in that ball game, and that's not like Birmingham's going to win 45-12. No, but I don't know what to expect. I don't know if I can expect anything major out of them. Obviously, by all virtue, they shouldn't have beaten DC last year, and then they squeaked it out. But at the same time, DC shouldn't have lost to Orlando, and they lost to Orlando, so it's whatever. But if we're going straight on, I'm excited for the ball game. I don't feel very threatened by it, if that makes sense as a fan.
Yeah, I got you.
I think Birmingham has an edge in personnel and an edge in coaching, which is weird to say because it's Skip Holtz versus Bob Stoops.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Skip Holtz, but I mean, you got people out there like on Facebook, in the internet, whatever. They're comparing like, well, the college records, yada, yada. Bob Stoops has to be a better coach. And I'm just like, well, maybe, but Skip has shown he's fantastic at this level of football.
Yeah, I mean, if you put Bob Stoops in the XFL, in spring football, yeah, of course. I mean, he does have it's the record don't show, but he has a championship to prove that. He can coach.
He can coach.
But if you look at the college level, yeah, Bob Stoops easily could probably beat Skip Holtz's team anytime because Holtz coached at Louisiana Tech and Stoops coached at the Guides of Oklahoma. But now if you put them in spring ball, come on, Skip Holtz.
Skip Holtz knows what he's doing, and Bob. I think it's also, from what I can gather, just looking at him, and also you have the 2020 half season for the XFL to compare because Bob was also the coach of the Renegades back then, and you can compare the two, and you can kind of just see who cares more. I would wager to argue that that didn't make any sense. Yeah, we're betting to argue now. Have fun. Welcome to the internet. You can do it for free. I would assume that Skip just genuinely cares more about doing the spring ball thing than Bob does. Because Bob has it made. He's a legend in the state of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
As long as it's not a store ran by Oklahoma State alumni, he can probably get a free beer anywhere he goes. Obviously, he has a BCS national championship under his belt. The most Bob Stoops has is about 5 conference titles, which is nothing to sneeze at. But again, when it comes to spring ball, it's just night and day. It's not to say that Skip is like the best spring ball coach we've ever seen, because that means I have to argue with 80s USFL coaches, and I'm not going to get into that. But Skip is probably one of the best ones we've seen come out of this whole last wave of 3, I guess technically 4 leagues, counting 2020, 2023 XFL separate. I think that Birmingham will end up winning that Arlington matchup. Mm-hmm. I still struggle in my head to imagine why they put it at noon and at Dallas. I mean, I know why they put it at Dallas, because the whole hub's there. I think it also has to do with the fact that Birmingham either has Legion FC at home that day in Protective, or I think Monster Jam is there like 2 days before, and they probably wouldn't have the place cleared up in time. I'm not certain. Mm-hmm. But again, Arlington at noon on March 30th is a weird choice for the time for me. But then I learned about more. Luke Miller told me that the Rangers, defending World Series champion Texas Rangers play across the street, have a game that day at 1 p.m. And they own the parking lot for Choctaw.
I honestly, I did not know that. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I had no clue about that whole deal.
So I mean, I'm a little worried about attendance. I won't be in attendance for that ball game. I just can't get out to Dallas, and but make up for it, I'm going to be at the Floribama that weekend. So fun.
Nice. Well, hopefully you got your Stallions gear on for that one at Floribama. But I will be there with the Horsemen. We'll all be there. I'm hoping it's a lot of fun. And fun fact, Bob Stoops, about him, I actually was at his very last Oklahoma game when they played in the 2017 Sugar Bowl. I'm an Auburn fan, by the way. I think Philip, you're an Alabama fan.
Alabama fan, but it's spring ball. We ain't got to argue about it. It's a non-issue.
That was at what I thought was Bob Stoops' very last game, and I'll be at the very first game he'll get to work as a UFL coach. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of full circle, if you will. But yeah, Arlington, Birmingham, champ versus champ, week 1. What a way to kick it off! But and for the Rangers game, hey, I mean, if Chase allows it, I might catch a doubleheader that day. So I mean,
try to catch a doubleheader. It's probably an expensive ticket. I
think they're like $100 for a Rangers ticket. But and besides, it's game 2 of their defending World Series championship run. Come on,
you can't complain. I mean, if I was going, my thing, I would immediately get in that parking lot. I would beeline to at least the team store, grab a Rangers hat at the very least, if I couldn't make that baseball game.
Yeah, true. And I forgot to mention that during my intro. Dang it, I forgot to mention that. It's the most wonderful time of the year. You got baseball getting ready to come back. You got March Madness getting ready to get underway. But nobody talks about this 5 years ago. We got spring football. And that's what we're really looking forward to now. Just baseball.
I'm so excited. I mean, I love baseball, but, I have YouTube TV, so I can't watch the Braves.
Yeah, that's true. But, hey, by the way, go Braves, baby.
Go Braves.
World Series run. We'll get to more of the Braves in just a minute because they are actually a part of what Birmingham's gotten planned this year. Let's move ahead to week number 2, our first USFL conference game of the year at Michigan, at the home of the defending NFC North champion. I can't believe I'm saying that. The defending NFC North champion Detroit Lions, as Birmingham travels to Ford Field to take on the Michigan Panthers. What can you expect in that game?
I don't know what to expect because Michigan's another team they've got new talent. They got a lot of new talent, and then they got Wes Hills. You remember him from the New Orleans Breakers? He's their running back now. Mm-hmm. They got a loaded running back room. They got a loaded room all over the place. But my question is, can Mike Norvell? Not Mike Norvell. What's their Mike? I think I don't remember his first name. Nolan is their head coach's last name, I believe. If he can turn it around, because remember last year they had like 20,000, 25,000 people for their first home game, They didn't win a single home game until the last one. Actually, they got mollywopped every single home game they played in Michigan.
All that matters is win the last one. That's all that matters.
Win the last one. Win one. It's 1-0 mentality every week. If you ever played football, you went for a head coach in the state of Alabama, he's probably told you that. I mean,
Brian Harsin, I can tell you, he said that 1-0 every week. And what happened after that, we just, yeah.
I mean, Brian Harsin did a Brian Harsin.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he was like their 12th choice.
Yeah. But anyway, by the way, you were looking for the Michigan's coaches. It's Mike Nolan. I don't know if I heard you say it right. Okay, but
I almost called him Mike Norvell at first.
Yeah.
I was thinking Florida State's head coach.
So, what do you expect from from Michigan this year?
I think they'll be improved, but I don't think they'll be like league champion improved. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're not. I think they'll win more home games than they did last year. I think they'll just generally be a better team. But I don't think that they're going to be able to beat Birmingham in that first game. Honestly, if we're going like the whole schedule, I don't think I see Birmingham losing more than maybe 2 games still. Oh, what's that? You got a phone call?
No, I was just making sure our audio was fine. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. I was wondering. I don't see Birmingham losing more than maybe 2 games this year at all. But I don't see Michigan being a huge roadblock. I don't think they're bad. They're not going to be bad. If there's going to be a bad team in this league, it's probably going to be one of the teams out of the XFL conference, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan could possibly be one of those. Could possibly be the USFL's clunker team, but I don't know if I really expect that to be the case. I think they'll be fine. They're not going to be as good as Arlington. I think it's just a talent disparity between us and them. So I think Birmingham is fine in that game as well.
Yeah, that game is slated for Sunday, April 7th at 11 a.m. And kind of, by the way, talking about The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, by the way, who, by the way, that same weekend of week 2 of the UFL, night 1 of WrestleMania on Saturday, he is going to be in a wrestling match with Roman Reigns as he battles Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you know who they are, but
I mean, I know of the names.
I mean, the guy, he's nonstop. I don't know how he does it. He's an owner of the UFL. He's on TKO board. He's about to wrestle with Roman Reigns, his blood cousin at WrestleMania. I mean, what has this guy got off? Like, when does he ever have his time off?
He doesn't have his time off. And
no way.
I mean, that's why he owns his own damn energy drink. He probably chugs that stuff.
By the way, I was there in Birmingham when he came back. By the way, Rock, love the league, man. Can't wait to see how it goes.
Love the league. I wish you mentioned it during your promo at the Birmingham event.
It's kind of funny though. The past couple of weeks, the Rock's been appearing at like last Friday he was in Dallas, the home of the Renegades. Next week or this upcoming Friday, he'll be in Memphis, home of the Showboats. A couple weeks ago, he showed up in Birmingham, home of the Stallions. I just think
he showed up to the Daytona 500 decked out in UFL gear.
Yeah, he's talking about the league, and yeah. But I just kind of find it kind of, I don't know, funny, coincidental, or I don't know, probably trying to promote the league in some way, in some fashion.
I mean, you would want to. His star power is hard to ignore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's a ride or die on how popular The Rock is, but it helps.
It makes you think. Do you think he'll be trying to pay attention to the games while he's getting prepped for his WrestleMania match? That's all I want to know. I just don't know how he's going to be able to watch.
He'll probably be able to. I mean, is he a main eventer?
Well, night 1, he's main eventing, yes.
That's what I expected.
Yeah, it'll be in Philadelphia, the old home of the now defunct Stars, but we hope they come back. We're actually hoping they do.
I think they'll come back if they can ever find a stadium. Look, I know this league cut down a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a fan of it at first. I know it's a financial reason more than anything else. And some of these teams just did not have stadiums they could line up. I know the league had tried desperately to get the Stars back in Philly. Mm-hmm. Because even back last year during the
I don't know. I think they said something about you need to, if you're playing in an NFL stadium like the Panthers are, you'd have to have like some big rent or whatever it's called. I don't know.
It's a big cost. It's a big upfront cost.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to play the home of the Eagles. That's gonna be a lot of money.
I mean, it was either that or Michigan. Their original plan, from what I can remember, being when I was discussing it with some guys from Pro Football Newsroom, I think their original plan was to play Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti, which
yeah, I've seen it. It's a dump. Let's just say that.
I mean, you thought Legion Field was bad, which Legion Field is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was, but it wasn't great.
No, it's just
it's just old. It's a 70-some. It's a 100-some-year-old stadium with no tenant in it.
Yeah.
But to my knowledge, or what I can remember, I think the USFL wanted to get they wanted to play at Ypsilanti. They were going to pay for a new turf for Eastern Michigan, and one of the things that broke that deal off to be the home of the Panthers was the fact that Eastern Michigan said, no, we don't want green turf, we want gray turf.
Yeah,
and that's apparently what killed it. But I think, like, when it comes to these stadiums, I mean, none of us, besides for Michigan, share an NFL stadium. None of these teams that would be coming back, I think, would have to worry about that anymore. Besides for Seattle, probably. Like what? New Orleans, they were a team that was being discussed actively in their market to get a state home somewhere, and they just couldn't do it. I think they'll probably.
Yeah, I think they would if New Orleans would have been in the league. I would have expected maybe to take the Yulman Stadium down in Tulane as their home, but that made sense. I mean,
Yulman makes sense. Yeah, Yulman makes sense. It's a good stadium.
I've been there. I've been there too. It's a very nice stadium.
But the issue with Yulman was Troy wanted a lot of money. It was Tulane apparently wanted a lot of money for it, and you had the Shrine on Airline, which is the old Zephyrs AAA ballpark, which is it's in Metairie. It's not in New Orleans proper, but it's across the street from the Saints facility.
Yeah, and
apparently they were trying really hard to get down there, which it would have been close to same situation that the. It would be close to what the Vipers had to deal with last year.
Yeah.
But the Shrine on Airline is so much better than where the Vipers played. And it also helps that they're turning that stadium into like a rugby specific facility soon.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to up the capacity to 25,000. So if we get a team coming back, it'll be New Orleans will probably be first, and they'll probably
play there. Because I thought that would have been one of our bigger rivals. Other than Memphis, New Orleans would have been a good rival. Anyway, Michigan, Birmingham, week 2. Sunday, April 7th at 11 a.m. on ESPN at Ford Field. Now let's move on to week 3. The first home game in the UFL for the Stallions and the first home game since going back-to-back as they take on the Memphis Showboats at Protective Stadium. Finally, a night game in a regular season. It feels like years since we had
back-to-back. They're two, if you can see on there, we have 2 night games back-to-back, both at 6 p.m., both on broadcast TV. Over the air. I expect us to have good crowds for both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And Memphis is going to – I don't think Memphis – I joke about it because Memphis, like even in the 80s, it was a manufactured rivalry, and there's a few fans who really believe in it. Memphis is not a team that's ever had a lot of success against Birmingham. They have one win if we're counting back in the 80s.
Yeah.
They have one win. Every other ball game has been either Birmingham for the most part, has blown them out. And it comes to the whole history of it. There's 2 close games, I want to say. The game in 85 when Birmingham went to Memphis, and that game was sold out. Joe Cribbs, Auburn alumni, Stallions legend Joe Cribbs. He basically won that game for him because Cliff Stout couldn't throw the ball to save his life that day just because Memphis defense was up. But all the other games, Birmingham has always won that series. Won a game in that series in the 80s. It was like 34-10. They had a 52-14 ball game at Legion Field in 83 or 84, I believe. And obviously last year we had 42-2. But, Memphis doesn't have to deal with he who shall not be named as their head coach anymore. They don't have to deal with the lack of talent and a coach who despises his quarterback, like they had last year. They have John DeFilippo, the coach of the New Orleans Breakers.
That's what worries me, I'll be honest with you. Because let me tell you, I don't think Memphis with John DeFilippo and most of their New Orleans people, they're not pushovers anymore. This team, in my opinion, you might disagree with me, but I think this team is going to be scary to watch.
They will
compete against Birmingham.
Look, if I have to go who I think are going to be the top 3 teams in this league across all conferences, I'm going Birmingham, Memphis, and the third spot's a toss up between DC and St. Louis. But Memphis is going to be scary. Now, I know last year we played New Orleans twice, and the second time we beat them, and then we beat the bejesus out of them in the playoff game. I don't know what we'll do. I mean, they got Matt Corral as their quarterback. We have Matt Corral. They have Case Cookus, from the Stars. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say he's our kryptonite per se, but he always plays really well against us. I mean, in the 2022 championship game, they were driving until he got his leg snapped. And then 23, we just beat him. I mean, he threw 2 or 3 interceptions. We won that ball game. But they're going to be scary. I think that first home game is going to be the preview for the South Division playoff, which will probably be in the same stadium again, if I had to guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't have anything else really to say about Memphis. They're going to be a good football team.
Oh yeah,
and that's something the Showboats haven't been in a while.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and they've been stretching for a pro football team, and if they're going to, I think you were there last year too when we went up there for Week 10 against Memphis. They had a decent crowd. I mean, it was an okay crowd. It was an
okay crowd. I mean,
they can support this Memphis team that can really play like they're fixing to play. I can guarantee you that stadium. I mean, it's half full on what the ticket thing says is available, but I could probably guarantee you if they have more people showing up to games, they're going to finally open up the other side.
That's the deal with us. I mean, with Birmingham, you're lucky the fact that you can fit 15,000 people on the home sideline. You're lucky that that's the case in that stadium. And, I think I have this sneaking suspicion it's going to be like last year where tickets are only available on one side, and then you get in day of, and it turns out the away sideline was general admission. So they just tell you to sit wherever over there because it's on the camera.
Do you know if they're going to bring the tarps back like they did for the past couple of years?
I would assume in some way.
All right.
I mean, I know the XFL didn't really use tarps that much.
Mm-hmm. They probably should have for Vegas. I'll tell you what.
Vegas. Holy. I mean, you had a stadium that held 9,000 people. You always had about 3,000 fans in the stands. 3, 4, 5,000. And I mean, frankly, that's not a. Vegas is a team that was brought into a market where they didn't know where they could play, and that was the big issue there. Like what? Obviously, Sam Boyd Stadium exists, home of the former home of
UNLV,
and
I believe it was home to Supercross, the championships, and Monster Jam championships.
Yeah, it was home to the Monster Jam World Finals for a long time. It was home to Supercross championships and the United Football League, the first go around in 2008, 2009. The Las Vegas Locomotives played there. And they had their championship.
Oh my!
Well, they were called the Locos. The UFL, the original UFL, had some really dumb team names, and then you had some teams like the Omaha Nighthawks, who were.
I like that name.
I like that name. They were all black.
That one's pretty good.
That's not even a dumb name. That's a good name because it's not even like. Look, nobody knows what a battle hawk is, right? People in Memphis, they don't. I say Memphis. People in St. Louis, they don't know what the branding is. They know it's a Nighthawk. They know it's a battle hawk. It's a sword with wings. I mean, it looks like what the SAS patch emblem from Call of Duty is.
Yeah.
It's supposedly a military thing, but all the people in there think it's a bird. Sometimes see fans say, "Oh, well, it's a helicopter." I'm like, no. I mean, maybe it's a variant of the Black Hawk. No, but the Omaha Nighthawks, they're based off the F-117, the stealth airplane, and their helmets were all black. They had a Nighthawk going through on the side, and it was a cool looking uniform. But I digress. Memphis will be a good ball game.
And we're going to get to St. Louis in a minute about the uniforms. I have a lot to say about St. Louis uniforms. I really love them. What do I
There's
have
some
on
good.
my? Which, by the way, we're gonna do a rank them in a little bit.
Yeah, that's up
Oh
next.
yeah, I have
Probably
them at a
after
good.
this.
I have them at a decent spot, so I'm sure you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Birmingham, Memphis, the Saturday, April 13th, 6 p.m. Central Time, Protective Stadium on Fox. I can't wait to be there for that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get to week 4, our first home game featuring an XFL conference team, the DC Defenders out of Washington, D.C. Saturday, April 20th at 6 p.m. Central Time on Fox. By the way, their head coach, and I can't remember his name right now, but he's actually a Montgomery native.
Yes, sir, he is. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a good coach, and by all accounts, last year they should have won the championship in their league.
Reggie Barlow, that was his, I think.
Yeah, Reggie Barlow. I don't know if he played ball in Alabama, in the state of Alabama. But I know he's a Montgomery native, and he's a hell of a football coach. I think he's really good at what he does.
He played football at Alabama State, class of 1996 in the NFL draft, round 4, pick 110.
Okay, so I would think for some reason in my brain I was thinking he played in Tennessee for college ball for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but yeah, Montgomery native, ASU alumni, which shockingly we don't have anybody from any of the Alabama HBCUs on the roster. I don't think.
I think there's one from Memphis though. He's on the I think he's on the Showboat squad. He's from Alabama A&M.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. So anyway, what do you think? How do you feel about this DC showdown?
That's going to be a really good ball game. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm scared of DC or if I'm just. I can't even describe it. I think that's just going to be a great ball game. DC is probably coming in with a chip on their shoulder. They have a rowdy crowd that probably. I mean, I don't think the Defenders fans are going to travel to Birmingham. Obviously, if the few who will probably leave the lemons at home.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if there's going to be enough people to make a beer snake in Birmingham, but we'll see. I mean,
you could probably make one. I don't know if you get enough people buying the beer. They're not going to give you big enough beer cups because people give the all-inclusive and C1 and 2. When they give you the all-inclusive beer, they don't give you the full cup size. They give you like a cup about that big.
Yeah.
With free beer,
So DC, Birmingham, Saturday, April 20th. I'm trying to see if you can give me this one moment. Well, can you talk about DC? What player do you think is going to be a show out for them on that side?
Jordan Ta'amu is still going to be the best quarterback in their conference. And they have a running back whose name escapes me at the moment. I didn't watch nearly enough XFL last year to remember his name off the top of my head. But I remember they have a really good running back over there. And I think Jordan Ta'amu is going to be their big name guy like he was last year. He's going to be the reason they win games. And lucky for us, we've seen him before. We saw him in 2022 when he was with the Bandits.
Yep. I was taking a look at the just to see when the NASCAR schedule would be rolling through Talladega, and yep, for sure it is rolling through the same weekend Birmingham hosts DC. So if I had to guess promotion night, I mean I already have them written down. Some of them written down. You've got them. By the way, if you haven't. If y'all want to know the promotion stuff, look, I'm telling y'all, you're going to want to watch for promotions this year, but I'm going to guarantee you, like they did a couple years ago, USFL a couple years ago, they did a NASCAR night or something like that. They had some random driver come out to the game, drove his race car on the field. So I would probably maybe expect there's going to be maybe some sort of NASCAR themed night for Birmingham, I would guess. And I'm also going to estimate there's going to be a lot of traffic going through Birmingham on that same night that DC is playing in Birmingham. So.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a huge amount of traffic, and really, I don't know where you're going to compete because I mean, at least you're on Saturday, so you don't have to compete.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
You don't have to compete with the Cup Series race.
Nope.
I don't know how many people are gonna. I think some people are going to go to the. I don't know if it's called the Saturday race is Xfinity. I was about to just call it the Grand National because I don't remember who the sponsor is anymore.
Grand National.
Well, that's what they were. That's what they were called for the longest time. The Grand National Series.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember if it was Nationwide was back or not.
Yeah.
No, because Craftsman came back for the Truck Series, so I was confused.
Anyway, if anybody going to the Talladega race that Saturday afternoon, hopefully you make some time, make the trip over to Birmingham, watch some good old football, spring football. Come on,
spring football. It's cheap. They
Very
probably
cheap.
won't. They probably won't police very hard where you sit once you get in. To be honest with you, I mean, all you got to do is sit in where you are and then move over. It's worth it. It's a good family-friendly environment. It's going to be a good game. And hey, this one's on Fox too, so Fox is getting a double whammy because I believe Talladega is still under Fox's ownership for broadcast rights for NASCAR for spring. Yeah, so they'll be in the area anyway.
Oh, true.
So you might see some NASCAR talent show up.
And after 2 straight weeks at home, Birmingham will hop back on the road to Houston, Texas, as they take on to those of you that don't know what's going on here, they're not the Gamblers anymore. They are now called the Houston Roughnecks, but they do have the Houston Gamblers staff, players, coaches, everybody on this Roughneck squad. That game will be played at 6 p.m. in Rice Stadium. This game will be played at TDECU Stadium, the home of the Houston Cougars. But due to construction going on, renovations at TDECU, they're moving all Houston games to Rice Stadium. But how do you feel about this game, Philip? Houston, I mean, for the past couple of years, Birmingham has had some problems with Houston.
Houston's a thorn in our side. It's a different name, same players. I mean, playing at Rice Stadium. If you really want to, you can call them the Houston Rice Necks this year.
Yeah, true.
You can just call them the Houston Rice Necks.
Yeah, I had to process that for a second.
But I think they'll be good. I mean, Curtis Johnson is good with their team. I believe their head coach's name is Curtis Johnson. I know his first name's Curtis. They're a good. They're going to be a good ball club. I know the quarterback room is a big question, which it was last year too. But I mean, they have Mark Thompson, who's one of the best running backs in spring football.
It is now Wade Phillips. I think that's his name.
No, Wade Phillips got moved to the.
Never mind.
Yeah, remember they took Wade Phillips and Wade got hired on with the Brahmas.
Yeah, and
he took all of his Roughnecks players over to the Brahmas. I know Houston being the Roughnecks was actually, from my knowledge, what I've learned, what I've dug into, is that branding was a last minute decision.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, there have been arguments about it. About, are they going to be? Would they be the Gamblers? Would they stay the Roughnecks? And Houston, I mean, part of this is on Houston. Houston's crowd were adamant not to change the name because, I mean,
I would bet so. Yeah,
I mean, you'd think so. I mean, you had some people threatening to boycott it, and I'm just sitting there reading it, and I'm just like scrolling through my phone, whatever. Like, I'm on here like this, and I see somebody talk about, we're going to boycott Springwell if they change the name of the team. I'm like, okay, you got some cities losing their team. You're gonna get upset because you got to buy a new T-shirt. I think it's a little bit of an entitlement thing with them, I guess. But Houston, they love the Roughnecks because it's got an Oilers. I say it's got an Oilers homage. No, it isn't. They are an Oilers ripoff name. But that doesn't matter because it's still a good name for a football team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah, they're an Oilers ripoff. I don't care because they're a good-looking football team. And they're going to be a good football team. They are the team that should have beaten Arlington in the playoff last year and got absolutely mollywopped by them. That ball game. I think Arlington won the game like 24-11 in the playoff. But it's the Gamblers. You can call them the Gambler Necks. You can call them whatever, the High Rollers, the Rough Gamblers. I don't know what you want to call them. It's all Gamblers players. And they will be good. I don't think they're going to be better than Memphis. And I certainly don't think they'll be better than Birmingham. But if we are to lose a ball game this year, hopefully we'll go undefeated.
Hopefully 12-0. That's all.
Hopefully 12-0. But if we're to lose a ball game this year, one of those would probably be to Houston just to appease the Lord himself, because I guess it's God ordained now that we have to lose one ball game to Houston every year.
And besides, ever since the league came back, the Houston Gambler, whatever you want to call them, I mean, that Houston team has had our number ever since the league came, or the USFL came back. We've only beat them one time, and that was
Well, we beat them twice. So we've played, because they always South Division. So we played. So we always played. We've played them 4 times, and we split the series. So the first game we played them, I think we beat them ended up beating them by 10 points the first ball game. We played them, and then
oh yeah, right, okay, I got you now. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. We had that week 9 game against them after we'd already sealed up the playoff.
That was my first game I went to, week 9, 2022. That was it.
Yeah. So when we lost that ball game, and Birmingham wasn't playing full speed that day. And that was when Houston won 2 games, and then they just got really good out of nowhere the last 3 ball games of the year.
Yeah.
And that was when Kevin Sumlin was their head coach. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
He took
I remember that now.
He took coordinator job over in Maryland. I don't know if he's there or not still. But and then last year after they beat us in Birmingham, we went up to Memphis Hub, and it was a bit of a slow ball game at first, and then towards the end, Birmingham.
Well, no freaking wonder Auburn got beat by Maryland. Freaking Kevin Sumlin was their assistant head coach.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, Houston, Birmingham. I think that's gonna be a good game too. It'll be on Fox. I think that will be a good game. I mean,
that'll be a good game.
I will agree with you. I think that game. When we play Houston, it's always gonna be a battle. So I'm gonna really enjoy that football game. I won't go to Houston. I mean, I already go to Arlington. I already go to Memphis, but I'm definitely not going to Houston. I just think that's too far down south. I don't know. Speaking of going to Memphis, I will be in Memphis, Tennessee for this game Saturday, May 4th, an early kick, the earliest kickoff we've had since the UFL will be formed. The Memphis Showboats at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I still call it the Liberty Bowl. Do you still call it the Liberty Bowl?
Everyone calls it the Liberty Bowl. If you call it by your full name, you're a hack.
Yeah, I
still
call it Liberty Bowl.
That's like calling Heinz Field at Accuser Stadium. That's like calling the Citrus Bowl. Well, I guess I call it. That's like calling Hard Rock Stadium, not calling it the Orange Bowl or whatever. But
hopefully I can take off the radio war for that day. Hopefully I get to make the trip up to Memphis. I've been there several times. Might do a little Memphis invasion, take my stallion flag to Graceland. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We've already talked about Memphis. We can go ahead and skip that. But I think the Stallions, I can pretty much say you'll agree with me. I think Stallions fans are going to travel well for that game because
they traveled last year. I mean, heck,
we had a whole pocket in the end zone.
And I remember watching the Memphis ball. I remember watching the Houston game on TV where the only people in the stands were the Horsemen.
Yep. I actually remember I was down at the beach for that one, and I hated it.
I watched it on TV, and that was NBC. So NBC didn't pump any noise into the game like Fox did. So you would hear cheering, and the only cheering you'd ever hear were the Horsemen. You hear that whole group going off, and can I just say this? If you haven't signed up to be a Horseman and you're a Stallions fan, what are you doing? Go ahead and sign up.
I agree.
Welcome to the club. We have hats.
You're doing the job. I'll have my hats in the car. I'm going to do it for next week. I'm going to get my hat on for next week.
When Chase makes T-shirts, I'll wear a T-shirt around. I'm going to try to see if I can't wear this in the press box this year, but I can't talk any more about my job than that.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, congratulations on it. I don't know if I did, but congratulations on that job.
Thank you. I didn't mention it. I didn't mention this earlier in introductions. I work in athletic communications for the University of West Alabama. Okay. And I'm also doing it for the Stallions this year, so I'm excited. But St. Louis is the next one that we have.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do I'll get set the scene and everything. Then I'll let you talk about it. St. Louis, I'll say it. That's the biggest fan base. Obviously, because when the Rams left St. Louis, everybody was begging for a pro football team to come back. The only sports teams they had were the Blues of the NHL and the Cardinals of Major League Baseball. And now they finally have the Battlehawks. But it's a spring league, but who cares? It's football. St. Louis fans love their football. And by the way, this game, which will be on Fox at 3 p.m. Central Time at Protective Stadium on May 11th, this game will probably be the biggest one for all the reasons. Obviously, St. Louis fans, I'm sure they're going to travel, but also it's their quarterback's homecoming game to the state of Alabama. The legend himself, and I despise this man ever since he was at Alabama. A.J. McCarron will make his return to Alabama as he'll take on the Stallions. I can ask you this. You're an Alabama fan. How many Alabama fans do you think are going to show up wearing A.J. McCarron jerseys?
It's going to be a lot. And let me tell you something. That's also going to end up being good marketing for the Stallions, because here's the thing. Alabama, we have Slade Bolden, who's I doubt he gets cut. I doubt Slade Bolden gets cut.
Oh, no. He's good, man.
Look, like I'd seen before on a Pro Football Newsroom article, they're a good website, but I could not agree with Thorne's article on the roster cuts, because he basically said, the Stallions will cut every single star franchise player they have. He suggested that we'd cut like Slade, and he suggested that we'd cut like Scooby. If either of those two guys were going to get cut, it would have happened on Black Saturday. But this is going to be the biggest game we have at home this year. I think attendance-wise, just by the vibe of it. And also, that's Atlanta Braves night, which it's not like a full team night, but the Braves will be in town in the stadium.
Yep. Blooper, the mascot for the Braves. He will be there, so I can imagine him and Stanley probably running around doing whatever.
The XFL teams don't have mascots, so only we do.
What are they going to do with mascots, by the way, for the USFL? What are they going to do?
Well, Stanley's still going to be there. I know that for certain because, I mean, this isn't even like insider information. This is looking on the Stallions ticketing pages, and they had on their Facebook page, the Twitter, all that. They had Corey Helvey had posted this. Shout out to Corey, the greatest ticket salesman in the league.
Corey, the man, the GOAT.
Corey, the man with the plan. I hope you enjoyed that bottle of Clyde Mays I gave you, brother. The Stallions have advertised that about some birthday packages for like birthday tickets, and one of the things included would be Stanley would show up to the kid's birthday. So Stanley's still there, and he's spending marketing material. Mascots are going to be fine for the teams that have them. I would not be shocked if they repurpose the Maulers mascot for the Roughnecks. All you had to do was put a new jersey on him. Really,
I forgot about the old Mauler guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that the Battlehawks game is just going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be a good ball game. I don't think St. Louis wins it.
Yeah, I think this will be a tough game. I think there's going to be a lot of passing in this game without question. We got weapons. They got weapons. Their
receiver room is insane.
So,
I'll say it right here. The St. Louis Battlehawks should not exist. They should not have ever lost their NFL team. That's all on Stan Kroenke for getting them out of there for bad faith.
Absolutely.
The Battlehawks should not have to exist. It should still be the Rams.
I'm going to be honest and say anybody that's a St. Louis fan, please don't hate me for this. I actually kind of wanted to see an LA team in the NFL. All just because, LA, why not? Los Angeles is a big city.
Why couldn't it just be the Raiders?
Yeah.
They'd already played there for 10 years before.
I think it was already a plan for him to go to Vegas anyway. I don't know. But, yeah, St. Louis, I hated that they had to lose to Rams. They had a good thing going with them. But now that they have the Battlehawks, they don't have to worry about it no more. St. Louis, a well-deserved team to have a football team. But it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. I'm taking the Stallions easily. I'm for sure taking the Stallions. But I do hope. But one thing I do hope for is that St. Louis fans travel well. I do hope that we have a good attendance for all the right reasons.
We will have good attendance
for Battlehawks fans, for any Alabama fan that watched AJ McCarron, and pretty much everything.
It's that from everything I can gather, that's the game that's selling the most tickets. That is going to be a big, big event. That is probably, if I had to guess, if I had to put money on it, which I don't bet, which may bug some of the ESPN broadcasters last year. You know how the XFL broadcasters really bad about talking about the over and the under. I would assume that's probably our best attended ball game, in general. Sure. You'll have like a good chunk of people who would be either neutral or just wearing red anyway, so it looks like they're Stallions fans. It doesn't matter. But it'll be good. I would assume it'd probably be similar to the crowd we had for the South Division playoff last year.
Week 8, Saturday, May 18th, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, the latest kickoff on the schedule on ESPN2. Birmingham will play host to Houston for the second time. It'll be the Roughneck name first visit to Birmingham. So, of course, we already talked about Houston. It's going to be a good game both ways. I think so. Yeah. Week number 9, the final non-conference team on the schedule before we have to play Michigan again. The San Antonio Brahmas in San Antonio, Texas on ABC and the old Alamo Dome at 2 o'clock kickoff. What do you have to say about San Antonio?
They are a mystery team to me. They don't have Hines Ward left after the merger.
I was surprised by that. I really was.
He didn't agree with the pay because a lot of the coaches took pay cuts because the XFL was bleeding money. This isn't like, they just handled it poorly, but the financials weren't great for the USFL, the XFL year one. They lost $60 million, and they probably lost a little bit more than that. You never say how much you actually lost when you talk about this stuff, because then investors get spooked. But here's the thing: the Brahmas are basically going to be repackaged Houston in the same way that Memphis is almost a repackaged New Orleans. It's Wade Phillips, son of Bum Phillips, he's the head coach of San Antonio Brahmas, and he's taking a lot of his Roughnecks players with him. I think they'll be better than they were last year. They may end up being one of the more followed teams when it comes to like social media stuff because their kicker is YouTuber sensation Destroying. He's he's like a 5 million subscriber YouTuber. He played 3 games as kicker at UCF. The NCAA told him, you got to delete your YouTube channel. You can't make money off of it. His coach apparently told him YouTube or football. He chose YouTube. Played some preseason games in the Canadian Football League. Didn't make the roster. Basically been doing nothing but YouTube for the last 7 years. But he showed up, and apparently he's the apparently he's better than Matt Amendola supposedly because he won that kicking battle, or maybe. Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see the Brahmas. They made some weird roster moves this year. I mean, at one point their roster had 98 players on it. They're in camp, so it's really weird. I could see them trying to bring another kicker because I don't know if I'm sitting here, if I'm San Antonio, if I have the confidence to let Destroying be anything more than a marketing step.
Which, by the way, I want to say, though, I mean, you were talking about it a second ago, but what a story that is. I mean,
yeah,
a guy that was told in college, look, sorry, man, we can't let you do videos due to rules and everything. He goes on to the Canadian Football League. He does the preseason games. He's cut. And then, he goes on. And now here he is about to play in the XFL, the UFL. And I mean, and who knows? What if someday he gets good enough? I mean, he'd be just like Brandon Aubrey, goes to the pros.
I think he has a potential to. I think if I'm Wade, I am concerned, and maybe not to cut him. Maybe he's probably killing in practice. Why they didn't cut? They cut Matt Amendola of all people. Who I know it's Matt Amendola. He wasn't exactly the greatest in the world in the NFL, but he has that experience. But Destroying, Donald De La Haye has not kicked in a football game in like 5 years. And I'm worried, and obviously this league doesn't acquire nearly as much from kickers as the USFL version did. Because you have the USFL kickoff, but you don't have extra points. You don't have extra point kicks. You have the 2-point play or whatever. So it's not asking as much. I think he can be really good. I wonder. My question is, in that first weekend that they're playing, when they play, I believe they play Houston or DC their first home game. When Donald De La Haye steps out And knowing him, he's going to be decked out and stuff you don't see kickers wearing, like a visor and a watch and some gloves and tape and all this. Because apparently he runs routes as receiver too, supposedly, from what I've gathered about him. I'm hoping the lights aren't too bright for that kid, because it would be an amazing story if he bet on himself and made it. But if I'm Wade, I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I'm not Wade Phillips. I am a bumpkin from Livingston, Alabama. So,
and I'm a bumpkin from Alexander City. But hey, yeah. But anyway, San Antonio, Birmingham, in the Alamo Dome. I think that's gonna be our third trip to Texas. The third trip to the state of Texas this season. So, I mean, that's just gonna be crazy.
At least San Antonio is a fun city.
And then, of course, the Week 10 game, the earliest kickoff at home this year. And like I said, I'll go back to what I was talking about earlier. I am glad that compared to last year, all of our games were at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Most and only 2 or whatever our games.
We had one 11 a.m. game that was against. That was the first game against New Orleans. I remember I went to that ball game.
Yep,
it was too hot to have a football game that day.
The only thing I'm glad we weren't doing was playing at Legion Field at 11 a.m. That would have been the worst feeling in the world, because I think a couple years ago, when the league first came back, they had to play the games at Legion Field due to the Garth Brooks concert or whatever was going on. And Chase told me that the wind was not blowing at Legion Field. Like, it was so enclosed, you can't even feel the wind. And then they had to put everybody out on the end of the sun.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I would have left at halftime. Probably would have.
I didn't even go to the ball game, and I was close to. I had bought a ticket for that game back when tickets were only $10, and I was sitting there and I saw how hot it was today. I'm like, you know what? I can eat $10 today. I'm not sitting in 100. I'm not sitting where it's going to be 120 degrees in the stands at Legion.
Yeah. Anyway, it's 11 a.m. game, Protective Stadium, and then we move on to the playoffs. But we don't know who's going to be in the playoffs yet. We're just about to get started with the season. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic: promotions. We'll go back to the Memphis game, the first home game of the year. It is Champions Night. The Memphis Showboats in Birmingham. We're talk about that. What is going to be Champions Night? What are they going to provide?
So right now, for Champions Nights, we've already announced it. There is a ticket package that if you could get a ticket with a free T-shirt. I'm not certain if it's going to be a handout T-shirt at the gate either.
Yeah,
and I still personally don't know if ticket holders are going to get the shirt or not. I don't really have to worry about giveaways, because since I'm working there, I don't get to go by to pick them up anyway. I'll try to see if I can get my dad to, because he's still got my tickets. But
will they be available for season ticket holders?
I would assume so. If you want to know, I'd say get in contact with Corey Helvey. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah. That's you, man.
Yeah. I'm not running promotions. I'm doing PR, and I'm doing communications. So get in contact with Corey. Mm-hmm. If you don't have tickets on here, go get on Facebook or email anything. Get to Corey Helvey. He will help.
And trust me, yes. I've several times this year I've gotten calls from Corey. He was asking me about, hey, you want to pay full or anything? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pay full. He helped me hook up. We're all good. Hey, yeah. I'm telling you, he will hook you up. You'll be all good to go.
Look, I just text that man. Like, we just talked. He's so down to earth, and he's excited for the market.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Next promotion that I know of so far, and like I said, of course, Philip, he's in PR. He knows probably most of the promotions that are going on, but due to obligations, we're not allowed to talk more about that. I'm just going to give you the other one, and that's that. Exactly. Keep the noise down. But trust me, according to Philip, the promotions that they have set up for us are going to be exciting, and we promise you, if you want to check those out, you have to come to the games. I promise you, they're going to be really cool. The next promotion we'll talk about real quick. Braves Night, we talked about it earlier, St. Louis. Blooper, the mascot for the Braves, will be in Birmingham on May 11th as part of their tour across Braves country. Of course, that's what it's called in the Major League Baseball. If you're a Braves fan, I'm a Braves fan. Phil's a Braves fan. Who's not a Braves fan? If you're a Braves fan from Mississippi all the way up to the Appalachians of North Carolina, you are a fan of the Braves.
That might be changing soon. They end up putting that team in Nashville like they've been talking about. You might see some of that fan base get siphoned off, but I'm excited. Now the overarching theme for that night's not going to be Braves night. It's going to be something else, but I'm not at liberty to disclose what that is. But the Braves will be there, and they will be a part of the night, and it's going to be fun. I mean, Blooper's going to be there. Blooper and Stanley will be interacting. There'll be free giveaways. I assume they'll be at the ball game. Free hat giveaways. Do your own baseball cards, stuff for the kids. It's going to be really fun for the kids, and I would not be shocked if there's some like Atlanta Braves shout outs on the Jumbotron during the ball game. It's going to be a fun time.
Absolutely. And our next topic we will talk about real quick for the show, for the pregame show, like on the road and something like that. I'll provide like a 15 to 10 minute video of me previewing the game. Like, let's say if I'm in Arlington, I'll be in Arlington for game 1. I will be in front of Choctaw Stadium doing a pregame show. I will probably have Chase Newton helping since Phillip won't be there, unfortunately, due to obligations. And then for the Memphis game on the road, I will also do a pregame show. And I would assume Phillip might be going to that game. I'm not sure, but
I'll try my best.
If I can sure use a lot of help for the Memphis game at least. And heck, that's going to be an early morning game. That's going to be very early, like I said, 11 a.m. game in Memphis for that game. The final topic I will have for today before we move on for next week. Well, again, 7:30 next week we'll have another show. But let's go ahead and go over on our final topic. Uniform rank them. Phillip, you can rank these if you want to as well. You can get like
yes, sir. Let's sir.
There'll be 8 teams. Now, the reason why I have number 8. We'll start off at number 8. We'll go from 8 to 1. Number 8, I'm going to put, I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but I'm putting Michigan at 8. Reasons because the colors. I mean, I kind of like the uniform font, and it looks good. It looks okay. But my issue is the colors. I mean, I know it's the old Michigan colors, but it's
a unique color scheme.
It's unique, yes, but
it's also really similar to ours.
The baby blue with gold, that's just one of my issues on that. But what do you think?
I don't hate that, actually. See, if we're coming out to layout, a lot of times I've always considered, you know what, if you're ranking the uniforms, you have to keep Birmingham and Memphis similar because they have nearly identical uniforms. When it comes to design, and I'll give you a tidbit with the Stallions uniforms, which is at least my theory, and it kind of was true in the 80s, is that the Stallions uniforms are supposed to be a marriage between Auburn and Alabama uniforms. So scroll up to the Stallions uniform real quick.
All right. Oh crap! I'm in the wrong thing. Okay.
You're good. Scroll up to the Stallions uniform so you can see it. So the Stallions have the exact same template layout to their uniforms as Auburn does now. You have the 3 stripes on the shoulder.
I see it.
This is a Royal Retros jersey. They have the TV numbers on the shoulders, but they have a more Alabama color scheme when it comes to colors.
Oh yeah.
So it's supposed to be a marriage of the 2 brands, and I think that's a smart thing. But anyway, before I get off topic, because I have a lot to say about Birmingham. I love the uniforms. If I have to go for a number 8, it's not Memphis. If I have to go for a number 8, it's not Michigan. It's Memphis probably for me for number 8.
Oh, okay.
I love their colors. I know there's plenty of people out there who are disappointed they're not silver and red anymore.
That's I kind of liked it too. I mean, yeah.
See, I like the silver and red. I love it. Look, the USFL reboot was really red heavy. They don't want that for this league. So going with the California UT Chattanooga, whatever school you like that's navy blue and gold or yellow, that's fine. I love that color scheme. Their uniforms don't. I think
Chattanooga. There's another East Tennessee State. That's
East Tennessee State, yeah, ETSU. Yep. Maybe that's another callback that's trying to get fans from the state. I believe that's what I would think. And it's a great color scheme, but it's a horrible looking jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I get the colors, I get that, and I kind of agree with the design. And I actually did put them. I have it opposite. I put up at number 7. I put number 7 at Memphis, and I'm going to say the same thing.
Their helmets.
I like the colors.
The
colors are okay, but I can't go with the design. It's just I don't know.
I hate the top color thing. There are so many more ideas you could do with Memphis than that just look better. The new pants look good. I like the navy on navy.
I would have rather had like maybe the stripe, like a stripe on the shoulder pads, like a stripe going over, or at least
like
on the shoulder pad side.
I would like a UCLA LSU type stripe on shoulder pads if I was them.
That would have made more sense. I just don't like.
You know what you could do with that? If you wanted to be really funny and special with that, to just change it up a little bit. You know how they have the smokestacks in their logo?
Oh yeah.
You could take that striping, take that and make that the center stripe on that. Just you kind of like, you know how Wisconsin, their football team, they have like a very traditional stripe.
Yep.
And then there's like an arrow that's cut out in the negative space to show an arrow moving forward. You could do something similar to that with the smokestack. The saving grace from Memphis is the fact that they have possibly the best helmets in the league. I absolutely love their
helmets. Those are nice helmets too. I agree.
Right, so does Michigan. Michigan has a fantastic helmet too. There's only like one helmet in this league I don't like, and I think everyone knows who that is.
Well, I can't wait to hear in a minute. Who you have at number 7? I don't know if
I have at number 7. Let me pull up my my handy dandy collection right here. Well, I never got to tell you my number 8. My number 8 is Houston, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my number 8 is Houston because Houston has a lot of the same issues that I have with Memphis.
Well, I'll get to Houston in a minute. I'll get to Houston in just a minute.
Let me tell you my Houston issues. I love the name Roughnecks. I understand you had to change the name. You had to change the way they looked because the NFL can call them last time because you stole the Oilers silver helmets in 2020. Vince, for shame. But it's such a good name. It's such a good color scheme, but the jersey layout is terrible. And as somebody who sits in the press box and has to do stats and stuff, I despise the fact that their numbers are blend into their home jerseys. The away jerseys is a non-issue, but dang it, the white outline navy blue red gradient. If you got rid of the gradient and you changed the helmet, you would have a much better jersey right there. All you have to do to fix this is make the number solid red, and with your helmet. I mean, I know what they're going for the helmet. They're trying to make it look like the state of Texas flag. It's a cool idea in concept. I think it looks really Bush League when you throw it out. And it's just trying to be different, trying to be unique. I can't fault them for it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, that blue side of the helmet looks really solid. Look on the other side. Oh, my goodness, that looks terrible.
Wait till we get to the Houston part. I think you might disagree here in a little bit, but anyway,
it's fine. We ain't the same person. We can disagree on stuff.
But hey, I'll give you Houston a little bit. I'll give you number 6. I am putting. Well, crap. Let me.
I got to put my number 7. I just gave you my 8.
Okay. Well, who's your number 7?
My number 7 is actually Arlington.
Oh wow.
This is where we're stepping out of the bad uniforms, really. See, the only uniforms in this league I truly dislike as a whole are Memphis and Houston, and I still think I have Memphis above Arlington simply due to the fact that I like their helmets a lot more, which is, it's just weird, but that's just how I feel. Arlington is an insanely weird jersey to me. I like the powder blue. I like the black. I like the red. But those helmets are atrocious. Those helmets, and it also comes down to their branding and their logo. Their logo from the reboot is very clearly supposed to be a D and an R mixed together. But they're not the Dallas Renegades anymore. They're the Arlington Renegades. Mm-hmm. You could fix this jersey. And here's the thing. I'm going off the home jerseys. I'm going off of what's provided on the UFL Media Day website about the uniforms. Their away jerseys are beautiful. If you've ever looked at them.
God, yes.
Dude, look at the Arlington Renegade. We're going strictly off home jerseys. Look at the Arlington Renegades away jerseys, if you can. Because they remind me of... They have the exact same colorway as the old Oilers, and they look beautiful. But again, the helmet kills it because the helmet is crap. Literally, all they had to do was keep the same helmet they had in 2020. And for me, they're my number 7 simply because I'm a stickler and I don't like their home uniforms at all.
Let me find the. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. I'm looking at it right here on the separate page. If you want to see what I'm looking at, you can just type in Arlington Renegades road uniforms. Let's go ahead and move on now to my number 6. Yeah, my number 6. And before y'all freak out, it's not actually St. Louis. It is actually San Antonio. I have them at number 6. Basically, look, I'll go ahead. Let me say it before you freak out. The colors, I don't know. There's something about the colors. I don't know. Black and yellow or gray and yellow.
It's
I
like
can't
a dark
wrap my
slate
mind
yellow.
around it. But the design, I really dig the yellow stripe, the gold stripe going over the shoulder, and the horns. I like the horns because their phrase is horns forward, and the horns on the helmet are literally pointing forward. I kind of like that.
Oh yeah, see, they're actually
but the color I just can't get behind.
I have them up higher, and I'm a fan of yellow and black attack. I mean, I'm not a Steelers fan, but I've always liked the Steelers, and obviously the black and the gold the yellow is like the whole San Antonio team. It's a reference to Dwayne Johnson himself because that's where Dwayne's.
I guarantee you, The Rock had something to do with that name.
Something had everything. That's where he put the team because that's where his WWE career kicked off was in San Antonio. And sure, no, they don't raise Brahmas in San Antonio, Texas, to my knowledge. They might. I don't know. I'm not a cattle rancher.
We don't live in Texas.
I don't own a stockyard in Texas. I can't tell you anything about that. But name aside, like if you just called them the Bulls or the Toros or something, that'd still be a solid as hell uniform. Pardon my French.
I would have liked Toros. But I mean,
San Antonio Toros.
The Brahmas sounds kind of cool, but the Toros would have sounded.
San Antonio Toros. Imagine that, dude. But I love their home uniforms. Their away uniforms or whatever, because their away uniforms would be a home uniform for some football teams because it's all solid yellow. But I love that gray and yellow. I love that dark black and yellow. I know you don't like it. It reminds me enough of the Steelers to like it. I think the pattern, design, the number font, striping, and the helmets, dude, there is, besides for Arlington and Houston, there's not a bad helmet in this league, like design-wise. I mean, you're going to hear me gush about some helmets coming down the road.
Oh, yes. I mean, the helmets is what all that matters. I mean, the jerseys, the uniforms, I mean, I can kind of critique. But the helmets, I can get behind. And so we'll go ahead and move on. Speaking of helmets, I'm sorry. Go ahead with your number 6. I'm sorry.
My number 6, I talked about it earlier. My number 6 is Memphis. While I don't like their jersey pattern at all, I actually really don't like the jersey pattern. And they're kind of the same level for me. I couldn't tie number 7s just for the sake of it. So they're basically the same. Imagine they're the same level of Houston for me. Number 6 probably for me. It'd probably be Memphis. Actually, no. Wait, didn't I just say number 8 was Memphis?
8 was Memphis for you. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 was Memphis for me. So, see that's the hard thing. I like there's something about each uniform I like besides for Houston. And even then, Houston has a color scheme I like and a logo I really like. So if I have to go with my number 6, as much as that pains me to say it, it's got to be Michigan. And because I'm usually a guy who says like Michigan has to be close to Birmingham because their uniforms are so similar, but Michigan has a unique color scheme. I think it's the same thing as Birmingham. Their uniforms may look a little too plain. Birmingham just does that style of uniform better. But Michigan has some of the prettiest helmets I've seen in any level of football.
And I just found this image. I literally just scrolled down further and found this. I like what they did with the San Antonio Brahma neck, though. I mean,
the collar.
I like the old. I don't know what you would call it.
I just call it a pattern.
It's a pattern. Yeah, I like the neck, on the neck part. It looks pretty good. Number 5. I'm going to give number 5 to the Houston Roughnecks. Now, hear me out. before we go crazy here.
Go ahead. It's your show.
The colors. It kind of gives me that whole Houston Texans type of feeling or type of vibe. I like how the numbers have the colors kind of blending together to make a red and blue. But the one thing that really stands out to me, and you said earlier, the helmet. You're like, hey, I like the blue set, but here's what but I really love it because obviously it's Texas. It's the Texas flag.
It's so unique, but
it kind of gives me that Maryland Terrapin helmet vibe. I was at the Music City Bowl to watch that game, and I like their helmet.
So sorry. I'm so sorry you went to that ball game, dude.
I am sorry too, but hey, it was a gift.
If it makes you feel any better, I'll bring out my Pat Dye signed helmet to one of the shows one day.
That'd be all right. But anyway, but I love teams that pay homage to their state. Like Maryland's got the state flag on their helmet.
I mean, I like that for Houston too, but it's just like I don't think the helmet looks good is the issue. I think you could probably, you know what, you could have probably gotten a better thing by putting it on the jersey. Okay, so imagine what I would do. Well, for me, I would give I'd give the Roughnecks, I'd give them a gradient helmet. It's like, you know how Tennessee or some of these other schools had gradient helmets that kind of like turned to a different color as they went down. I'd have like a blue sky for Texas. And then you go down and it gets darker, and that's supposed to represent like the oil fields. But for me, if I'm doing Texas, you see on the side how they have the Houston logo on the shoulders?
Yep.
I say take that out and you replace that with the flag of Texas facing with the star facing forward.
I kind of would have liked that. I think they just need to keep it because it has the team logo and everything. I don't know. That's just me. But I do like where it says Houston on the jersey. I don't know if you can see my mouse scrolling across it.
I wish that Birmingham.
I love it because it kind of gives me that space feeling. Because Houston is Space City, USA. I don't know what would you prefer, Huntsville or Houston be Space City?
Huntsville's the Rocket City. Houston's the Space City.
Well, there you go.
Ain't got to compete. They're both important to the space program.
So anyway, I like how it gives me that space feeling, that NASA feeling. Obviously, NASA's from Houston, and it's in the letters Houston kind of give me that space vibe. But I like it. That's my number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is actually the one right next to it.
No way! Really?
That's my number 5.
What? Oh my god!
I know it's gonna. You're looking at me funny. You're looking at me funny.
You're gonna be surprised where I'm putting DC at, man. Go ahead. Okay. Explain DC.
Let me explain DC to you. I like DC's uniforms. I really do. And since it's an 8-team league, 5 is, I know it's middle of the road, and that's just because I don't like red on red jerseys. But I do, here's the thing. I do like DC's uniforms. Everyone from here is a uniform I really do like. So DC's has an amazing helmet. Their away jersey has really good like white camouflage. I think it's a solid jersey. I like the shoulder stripe and shoulder stripe and being the city flag of DC. It's just the big issue with me is I don't like the red on red mono look they got. That's just me. I don't like red on red. And even when UWA here wears it, I don't like the way red on red looks. I think it looked better. I think what you could do to make that uniform better in my book is take the same camouflage pattern that you have on the white helmet and make that the pants. Just make a white pants with the camouflage pattern with red striping on it. Trust me, it would look slick.
I kind of see where you're going with that, but you're going to be quite surprised where I'm going to put that uniform at compared to yours. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4. My number 4. It's got to be St. Louis. I mean, come on, St. Louis. I actually because I went to high school in Childersburg, and the colors of our school was royal blue and white, and it's giving me that Childersburg High School vibe. And again, their nicknames are the Battlehawks, and it gives me that kind of an Air Force type of color vibe. I do like the shoulder pad stripe going over, but what they could replace that with, in my opinion, I would wish they would. Instead, have it look like lightning bolts going over.
Oh yeah, just make it short stripe.
And the helmet, if you haven't seen the helmet, I promise you, go look at it because the outline at somewhere in between the sword and the wings on both sides, there kind of creates there's a part that creates an S, and the other side creates an L. Hence,
Oh
you put
yeah,
the sword in the middle. Saint
SC.
Louis. I like that. I mean,
Um,
that's. I wish I would put that in somewhere in the top 3, but my reasons for the other top 3 is gonna be pretty decent. All right, go ahead with
um,
your number 4.
my number 4, and now we're getting into ones I really. Uh,
And the helmet. I love the helmet with the wings too.
my number 4. Oh man, it's hard to because I feel like I've talked about everyone's uniforms by now, so I'm getting confused in my head. My number 4 probably has to be. Crap, who have I not talked about yet? I mean, Birmingham's my number 1. I'm just gonna say right there.
Okay.
I'm biased. Birmingham's my number 1. I don't have to go too much
that's
into it. I explained it earlier. But I guess St. Louis is my number 4. The helmets are really good. I like the mono blue. Not too much more I can say about it.
All right. So that's your number 4. Number 3. My number 3 is Birmingham. Now, hear me out. Why? I know I'm trying not to be biased. I want to be biased, but at the same time, there's so many good uniforms I want to put in. But Birmingham, obviously, number 3. Here's my obvious reasons. It gives me that San Francisco 49er. If you've seen videos of people ranking uniforms in the UFL, oh crap, I forgot to scroll up to it. There we go. Anyway, I mean, look at it. It screams San Francisco 49ers. It gives me that feeling of faithful. I think what they call them, the faithful. And you said it earlier, it has that Alabama Crimson Tide like color, but on the shoulder pads, it kind of gives you that Auburn Tiger jersey vibe as well.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I yeah, and obviously that's our old colors from the '80s. And for whatever reason, the colors kind of give me a 1980s vibe also.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I like them.
because back then, San Francisco, I mean, the only color you saw in NFL that was winning gold or championship gold was San Francisco 49ers. I mean,
Yep.
so
Now,
yeah, that's and obviously the helmet. I don't have it on here, but the helmet, it's got that red stripe or going over the middle, and on the side they got the stallion horse head. That's my number
it's a good
3. What's your number
it's a good
3?
look. Well, actually, what I'm going to let you do is I'm going to let you finish up because I have got an email that I got to tend to from work real quick.
All right.
Just for job. I'll be back. I just let me take this real quick.
Okay.
Let me reply to this email real quick. You finish out your rankings. I'll give you mine when I get back. All right.
Okay.
I
All right.
apologize, people. It's
No.
the first show. Hiccups like this going to happen.
No. It's all right. You're good, man.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and continue right quick while he attends to his email. At number 3, obviously Birmingham. Number 2, I'm going to give it to Arlington. Now, I can't remember what he put him at. I think it was 7 or 6 he put Arlington at. But I'm putting Arlington at 2 basically because I mean, they're trying hard not to copy Houston's colors. So they had to go with like a powder blue type of color. And the road jerseys are phenomenal. I agree. The road jerseys are very, very exquisite. Very nice. Um, obviously opposite of what you'd see on the home uniform. The one thing I wish they would have done to put if I would have put them at number 1 if they did either one or two things. One thing they would have done, bring back the Renegade logo head, put it on the side. That would have given it number 1, I'm sure. The other thing I wish they would have done is at least color in or kind of change up the Dallas logo on there, but make it black also because white on powder blue helmet. I don't know if that works for me. I would rather gone with black, just kind of fill in that white void in that area. But that's my number 2. And my number 1 jersey or uniform combo, or my number 1 jersey uniform deal for the UFL is DC. Now, I'll go ahead and let me stop sharing screen of this thing right quick. I'll go ahead and open this up and I'll tell you guys why DC is number one. The reason why DC number one to me has the best uniforms. I mean, look at it. Just look. I mean, look. There are some parts in that jersey I actually love. Look over here in this area, in the shoulder area. It has your two stripes and the 3 stars that represent the Washington D.C. flag. Of course, D.C. is not officially a state; it's more of a district. But their flag is 2 red stripes, 3 red stars that represent the nation's capital's state or district flag. Um, I also like the camouflage on the helmets. That really it kind of gives you that vibe of, hey, that's where our military is at. That's where our armed forces serve at, and they usually wear camouflage. I mean, who don't wear camouflage? Um, and I also like how they put one random star in the middle of the D, and there's kind of a C right here. I to me that's just that I just kind of like that. And then of course there's your 3 stars with the stripe. I'm just scrolling around here. But yeah, these are gonna be Under Armour uniforms. These are all because The Rock sponsors Under Armour, and of course on the back, the one thing I don't like about the Under Armour deal is that it's got the Brahma Bull. And I'm not gonna complain about it a whole lot, but the Brahma Bull type of logo because it's gonna confuse people like the San Antonio Brahmas. Their logo is a bullhead, and the San Antonio team has a bullhead too. So I mean, that's just my deal on that. Well, and we'll be waiting for Philip to return here in just a moment. So in the meantime, stay tuned. I'm gonna try and make a little thing right quick. Okay, here we go. Uh, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Shortly, I hope.
Hello.
Here we go.
I have
All right,
returned.
we're back. All right, we're
I
back.
apologize. I had to take an email. I had to upload some credentials.
No, you're good.
Don't worry
Okay,
about it.
so let's get back to the jerseys right quick. Let me get this out of the way. All right. The number 2 I had was wow, did you give your number 3 yet?
Honestly, I'm kind of my last 2 uniforms are kind of just my last 3 are kind of all toss up for number 1. Like after that point, they're all uniforms I like a lot. Birmingham's not one of my number 1s for obvious reason of being the Stallions, and I just like the way the colors look. I like the way the helmet looks. I like the whole shebang. I hope we get to wear the gold pants on the road more this year.
Oh yeah, I do think we will. My number 2, I had to give it to Arlington, and I'll give you my reasons why. I was telling my viewers this. They try hard not to copy Houston, and and if there was no Houston, they would have had the dark type of deal, the dark blue, a darker shade of blue. But it kind of looks spacey. I don't know if that's a word. It looks like something that was made in space.
It's very modern. It's very different.
The one thing that would have put that jersey, let me get to it. The one thing that would have made that uniform number 1 is that they could have done one or two things. One, Bring back the Renegade logo. Put them on the side of the helmet like they did with the Dallas Renegades. What they would have done. Or
I think they'll end up doing that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Or color in the D logo and put it as black. Now I know if they're not called Dallas anymore, but at least they could have made it a darker color instead of just white. Because I don't know if white on powder blue or baby blue would look good. What's your number 2?
Like I said, my top 3 were all kind of tied. All my top 3 were all kind of tied for number 1. I guess my number 2, if I had to sit here and think about it, if we're going, I'm going to start dipping into away jerseys now. For me, my tied for number 1 would be St. Louis away. That whole mono gray, gunmetal gray look is so slick to me. And I went to Demopolis High School. I'm a Demopolis Tiger, so I'm a fan of royal blue and gray and black. Blue heat, as we called it. So I'm a fan of that look. Their helmets are absolutely beautiful. I know the 2020 helmets are better, but not by much. That metallic wing with the little stripe in the middle, it makes out the gateway arch.
Yep.
It's something of beauty. And then my other tie, along with Birmingham's home uniforms, one of my other ties is DC's away uniform. Because DC's away uniform is what I want. It has that white helmet, has the white jersey with the white camo on the shoulders, and the red pants. And it's just, see, besides for, like, truthfully, Memphis, there's not a really terrible uniform in this league. I had to be biased against the Houston logo as somebody who takes stats and has to know numbers on the field. Let me tell you, when you see teams with mono numbers or teams that are like, they have dark numbers on a dark jersey, it's terrible. Like what we had, I was producing a live stream for West Alabama versus Delta State basketball like last week. Delta State's colors are dark green and black and white. Guess what color their jerseys were, and guess what color their numbers were.
What team is this we're talking about now?
Delta State, Fighting Okra, whatever you want to call it.
I'm going to say red. I'm going to say red.
No. Okay, so no, Delta State's colors are black, dark green, and white. And they wore, to that game, an away game, black jerseys with dark green numbers. And it was a pain in the butt to tell whose number was who. It was hard to read.
That's what I don't like.
That's what's with Houston. I don't like Houston's jersey. Comes down to me not liking the helmet that much, and then me just being up. It's a personal bias, but this is my own show. We could say what we want. And my personal bias is, you obviously don't care about your communication staff at any school or team who does the mono numbers. Now, this is all facetious. This is all the joke. I'm saying this is a joke. It's just a personal opinion. I'm kidding. Nobody take that seriously. I'm not coming here to pick on Houston because I don't like Houston. I could pick on other things about Houston if I really wanted to. But like, no, I can't get behind the gradient numbers. I don't like them. I don't like any team that does them. I don't like them in Atlanta. I don't like them in Los Angeles with the Rams. I don't like them with the Roughnecks. Yeah. And I think with the Roughnecks, I know that you couldn't use anything close to the Oilers, but you can get closer than what you have. I do like them being like the Texas rep, but I kind of wish Arlington kind of fell into that slot more, just personally. But yeah, my top three, which is all just tied one, is Birmingham home, St. Louis away, and DC away. Those are my favorite uniforms of the league, at least.
Well, now the time has come to reveal my number one jersey, my favorite uniform combination, and I'll just put it up here, and I won't say anything. Just look at this. I mean, this tells you that it represents their city. Look at this. Look at the one thing that stands out that I love about DC: the two stripes with the three stars.
That's the city flag.
Yeah,
that's the city flag.
It's not a state flag. It's the district flag of DC.
Yeah. Yep.
But and then of course there you see the helmets.
The helmets are my favorite.
because,
I love them.
because anybody that wears camouflage, I mean, in Navy, Air Force, Army, I'm sure they do it. They wear camouflage everywhere they go.
Yep.
And of course, and so that's my number one. And of course, all the jerseys you've seen are all sponsored by Under Armour. Of course, that's The Rock's. He sponsors those people, or he helps sponsor them. He represents them. That's why Birmingham, including everybody else, is getting Under Armour jerseys. I'm kind of glad we're getting the brand instead of just a bland jersey. Like,
Ripon. Yeah, we had Ripon Athletic, and that was mostly because they were trying to work out a deal with Starter. Starter apparently wanted to work with the USFL, which on the one hand, yay, Starter jackets with the USFL logos on it. But on the other hand,
my dad had a Starter jacket.
I love Starter windbreakers, dude. But I'm glad it's Under Armour. I hope that they start letting the guys wear their own cleats, because I know Under Armour cleats are not widely popular. I never had an issue with anything Under Armour I ever wore, but I just know it's a thing guys complain about. I know Scooby Wright, when he first got to camp, he complained about only being able to wear Under Armour because he wants to wear his Adidas gloves. But the jerseys are good. The jerseys are such an upgrade to what we have.
My overall opinion on the jerseys, I'll give them a 9 out of 10 in terms of they rebranded Birmingham. The only thing they kind of rebranded was the helmet. They kind of made the Stallion head a little bit bigger.
All they did with Birmingham's jersey was they took this patch and they snipped it off.
Put Under Armour and then UFL on there, and I like that. It's kind of like makes it more official now instead of just a bland jersey you'd probably wear in travel ball. I love it. I love that we finally have a brand. And what's cool about it, if you go to Under Armour's page right now, and if you try to go to UFL or Under Armour, I'm telling you, they are now sponsoring UFL on their website. I'm glad, because I've been trying to look for it for weeks to see if they did it, and they are sponsoring the UFL on their website, and that kind of makes me feel good about it, because now
you go on the UFL shop page. The first thing you pull up is new release UFL X Under Armour. It's all Under Armour gear that you can buy for the sideline collection, stuff that the coaches and players will be wearing on the sideline. They got some good looking stuff on there.
And I'm hoping if they do release polo shirts, I don't know if they have or not, but if they do, I will be wearing one for our show. I don't see one, but I'll try and see if I can make one that looks more official in a way.
I think that we'll end up getting an Under Armour polo.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do.
I know they got the hats. I pre-ordered some things already. I got a hat and I got a T-shirt. At the very least, I think it's going to be good for them. I think it's good for the league to have this big of a partner. It's good for them to actually be selling this for the fans, because look, merch was an issue we had last 2 years, but our merch wasn't very good. I mean, the fan jerseys, look, I mean, this was a Christmas gift, and I love this thing to death. I love this jersey to death. It's Royal Retros. The money wasn't going to the league, but the USFL at the very least, they weren't making a quality product when it came to the jerseys. They were whatever. They were $70 supplemented T-shirts made of nylon, basically.
Yeah.
And then you had the XFL, which I pray that we get an Armour to make the fan jerseys this year or something, because the XFL had some like DH Gate type jerseys that they sold. They had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's number as the only number you could buy on it, and it was $200, and nobody bought them.
Wow.
But I think they'll fix that this year.
I wouldn't pay $200 for a jersey, even if the guy's name. I mean, I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but I would not want to pay for a jersey that's like $200. But this is why, because I pre-ordered this because I tried to get a USFL ball last year, and I actually went to one of the games, and they only had like one left, and I was trying to save up for something else. But man, I really wanted a game ball so bad. But that's why, because I didn't know how much longer they were going to sell these, so I went on ahead and pre-ordered one of these. The UFL game ball. It has the Stallion. You can get one with or without a team logo on here, by the way. I think they're like what, $150, I think.
On their on the UFL website, they are $170.
Yeah, somewhere around
But that includes that has shipping. But if you order it off of Team USA, which I believe is a provider who makes the balls, I think they're called Team USA. It's a company out of Dallas. All the footballs are made in the state of made in the state of Texas. They're all American made. They actually made a lot of balls last year for a bunch of college teams and college football playoff. So I think it's called Big Game USA, actually, the manufacturer for the game ball. And
USA, yeah.
Big Game USA, yeah. And they make a quality product. But you order off their website, you can get it. I mean, it'll be full price and you get it free shipping. So it's really a pick or choose. I'll probably end up getting a ball. Part of me wants to wait until the games start up, but part of me is also like, you know what? I'll probably be able to order online soon. And like I said, it doesn't help that I ordered some Under Armour stuff just to have on the pre-orders. And thank goodness for my season ticket member discount.
Yeah.
Because that helped.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
Well, let's see. That's going to about do it for this show this week. But next week, let's see. Why don't we talk about rivalries next week? We'll talk about that.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Like fun rivalries. We can think of Birmingham, Memphis. Obviously, we can like think of names like, for example, the
war from before.
Either that or my personal favorite, the what was that? What's that UAB Memphis rivalry?
Battle for the Bones.
Battle for the Bones UFL edition. That's my favorite one. Or the war on I-22.
Barbecue beatdown.
And then of course you got Memphis and St. Louis, the Mississippi River Bowl or something like that, because they both share the Mississippi. And then of course you got the Texas rivalry. But we'll get to all that next week. And we'll get to more. I'll think of more topics for next week. We are about to be 16 days away, Philip. It's getting ever so closer.
It's so close.
Champ
doesn't feel real.
Choctaw Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Philip, thank you so much, man. Hey, next week. Hey, we'll do it again next week. I can't.
Yes, sir. I'll see everyone next week.
Next Wednesday at 7:30. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe. Like, if you're on a Facebook group, go to YouTube, like this channel, or go to my Facebook page, Inside the Stable. I will post that link in the description below as soon as I'm done here. Philip, again, thank you so much, man. And we'll see y'all in a couple more next week, and then the week after that, and then of course
we'll keep going until they tell us to stop. Basically,
we'll keep going until hopefully we don't. But thank you guys so much for joining. Let's have a good night. See ya.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.